Hello wrestling fans, the Wrestling Wizard here, and welcome to another video. And in this video, we're going to explore some theories in regards to the Alexa Bliss return, which we assume is going to be 2024. And of course, this is all assuming that Alexa Bliss is actually ready to return. We're assuming it's 2024. It could be as soon as Bad Blood, or we could have to wait until 2025. But either way, this is just my fan theory, pure speculation in regards to how I as a fan would like to see the booking upon an Alexa Bliss return. And as always, of course, get down in the comments section, share your thoughts and opinions. They're always welcome, and these can be your wildest theories along the way. Now, obviously in kayfabe, we've not seen Alexa Bliss since the Royal Rumble 2023. And sadly, we will never ever get to see the original storyline arc play out between Alexa, Bray, and Uncle Howdy. But all we know is from 2022 and the return of Bray Wyatt to WWE at Extreme Rules, Bray Wyatt was very much left to pick up the pieces for Vince McMahon's shambles of a booking at WrestleMania 37. Now, I see a lot of fans sort of blaming Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss betrayed the Fiend and all of that. And yes, that's what we saw on our WWE TV screens. But Wyndham, he wouldn't have wanted that. That wasn't the original plan. It was just an absolute ludicrous booking decision, which still to this day doesn't make any sense. So, of course, Bray Wyatt, upon his WWE return, had to pivot with the storyline. Had to make it make sense. Now, I don't think at any point this was a revenge angle for WrestleMania 37. I feel like it was going to be more of a reunion angle. That Uncle Howdy didn't just blame Alexa for WrestleMania 37, he blamed Bray, the weaker side of Bray. So I don't think in any way this was going to be a revenge arc. I think this was just purely leading to Alexa and Bray reuniting and becoming servants to Uncle Howdy. Uncle Howdy's storyline arc essentially was to get the two back together at WrestleMania 37 to use Alexa Bliss to revive the Fiend, and then you've got both Dark Bray and Dark Alexa back once more. And this was even teased in the White Rabbit project in the lead up to the Bray Wyatt return, the Samson and Delilah references, of course, within the storyline arc, Alexa essentially being Delilah, betraying Samson, i.e. the Fiend. Now, of course, recently we've seen some potential links to the Wyatt Sicks and Braun Strowman, seemingly the Wyatt Sicks offering a hand to Braun Strowman. Essentially, they're going to be there for a brother, a former Wyatt family member. And if they're willing to forgive Braun Strowman for the past, because remember, he didn't take Bray Wyatt, aka the Fiend's hand, he fought the Fiend unsuccessfully. And so if they can forgive Braun Strowman, then surely they can forgive Alexa Bliss. Of course, the very last time we saw Alexa Bliss was at the Royal Rumble 2023. So theoretically, she could well have been the first member of the Wyatt Sicks, already joining the Wyatt Sicks, but we didn't see it on our WWE TV screens. So maybe, just maybe, upon Alexa Bliss's return, we get a backstory. Maybe Uncle Howdy got a bit of revenge on Alexa Bliss in that time. Maybe he made her pay for her sins. I'd like to see a bit of a backstory play out. And maybe we get some flashbacks, maybe some old school VHS style format videos. That would be really cool, between Uncle Howdy and Alexa Bliss. Now, Uncle Howdy has made it very clear to what seemingly appears to be Alexa Bliss in She, that the door has been open. She must be the one to choose to walk through it or not. So ultimately, it's in Alexa Bliss's hands whether she chooses to go alongside Uncle Howdy and the Wyatt Sicks. Now, we assume in the previous storyline that Uncle Howdy's mission was to get Bray Wyatt to revel in what you are, to embrace the darkness, to revive the Fiend, and to use Alexa Bliss to do that. Now, we assume at WrestleMania 39, we would have got the revival of the Fiend and have both Bray and Alexa embrace their dark sides and seemingly get some form of reunion. Now, Uncle Howdy's mission could still be pretty similar, but this time he wants to get Alexa Bliss to revel in what you are, to fully embrace the darkness, which she did give up, which we'll come on to in a moment. Also to accept the fact that Uncle Howdy is the one in charge and not Alexa Bliss, that she is a servant to Howdy, accept that Howdy is in charge, and use influences of Bray Wyatt's dark side from the past and incorporate that in some aspects within her gimmick. And I don't mean Alexa Bliss becomes the Fiend, but incorporating certain parts of the Fiend and certain parts of her dark influence in the Lily doll. Now, I'd really like to see a continuation from the previous storyline. I want to see Alexa Bliss become an absolute weapon again. Remember, Alexa gave up the darkness. She got therapy. We saw this sort of hybrid version of Alexa Bliss at Elimination Chamber 2022, but you could argue to this present day that Alexa Bliss over the last few years has certainly not been the best version of herself. And away from kayfabe, if you like, pulling away the curtain, even Lexi was frustrated with creative in the lead up to Elimination Chamber 2022. You had these awesome therapy sessions, and essentially they didn't really do anything with them. They just brought this sort of happy-go-lucky version of Alexa Bliss, which wasn't particularly thrilling, and you could see that Lexi wasn't enjoying portraying that. Alexa loves playing a dark gimmick. She had the most fun in her career when she worked alongside The Fiend, so you can bet your bottom dollar that she's going to go dark once more. And after all, Wyndham would have wanted that. Wyndham would have wanted Alexa Bliss to be part of this Wyatt Sicks faction. Remember in 2022, in promos in the lead up to Survivor Series War Games, you had superstars such as Bayley, at the time part of and leader of Damage Control, mocking Alexa for not being as dominant as she was, and that she just walks around with this Lily doll. And I think Lily is the key in a lot of this. Remember, Lily was destroyed, and it basically took away Alexa's dark side. Or did it? Because remember, when Charlotte Flair destroyed the Lily doll, Alexa got therapy, and it was only the external part of the Lily doll that was destroyed. Internally, Lily still remained her previous self, just in this new version of a doll. Now, in the Bray Wyatt, Alexa Bliss, Uncle Howdy storyline in the lead up to the Royal Rumble 2023, we actually saw Lily move. Essentially, Lily coming to life, and maybe that was a little parallel in reference to potentially Alexa Bliss bringing Lily to life, potentially portraying that puppet like we see the superstars to this present day as part of the Wyatt Sicks, portraying various versions of the Firefly Funhouse puppets. I also don't find it any coincidence in the lead up to the Wyatt Sicks debut in the Nightbird campaign that we saw that WWE 2K segment in that match at Extreme Rules, by the way, between Bayley and Bianca. Key influences in this Alexa Bliss storyline, especially Bianca Belair. And Bianca Belair was even incorporated in the lead up to the Bray Wyatt return in the White Rabbit campaign as well. Belair was one of the clues. I do believe that Lily will be a huge influence on Alexa Bliss upon her return to WWE. And shout out to Blissful Fiend over on Twitter X for pointing out the fact that at the Royal Rumble 2023, Alexa Bliss came out with this nameplate, which is seemingly a mix between Alexa Bliss's dark influence in Lily, or Alexa as the face of evil, and of course, The Fiend. And I really like those subtle little details, and I certainly feel that that was the direction that they were heading into 2023. Just because Dark Alexa might come back to WWE, it doesn't mean they're going to book it like the previous. They would have learnt from their mistakes. We're not going to see Alexa Bliss shooting fireballs out of her on Randy Orton. Like, that's not going to happen again. It's going to make far more sense, and it's probably going to be more of a psychological angle, similar to what we see with the Wyatt Sicks to this present day, with them taking the masks off and wrestling without the masks. Although I think Alexa Bliss's dark influence, I could see her still keeping that mask on, where we see one half of Alexa Bliss as the face of evil, or a goddess sort of type version of Alexa, and then we then see Lily as a dark influence, her dark alter ego, with some sprinkles and tributes of The Fiend thrown in there as well, which would be a really, really nice touch. Now, once they've cleared up the storyline with Alexa Bliss and Uncle Howdy and made it make sense, because if Alexa Bliss is going to join this family, which I believe she will, it needs to make sense to the general fan. Not everybody pays attention, not everybody looks at all the tiny details like we do on this channel, so it needs to make sense to the general pop as to why Alexa's there, because many fans will say, well, Alexa Bliss is an enemy of the Wyatt Sicks, she's an enemy of, or was an enemy of Bray because she betrayed the Fiend at WrestleMania 37. So make that make sense and play it into the storyline. And then moving forward, I'd actually love to see Alexa Bliss on her revenge path. Now, let's not forget that Charlotte destroyed the Lily doll at Extreme Rules 2021. She vanished Lily in that original form for good. Surely Alexa Bliss is not going to forget about this. Now, Charlotte Flair is obviously still absent from WWE with her injury, but she's going to return soon, and I'm assuming she returns to SmackDown, which of course brings up the question, how can Alexa Bliss go to SmackDown? Now, we've seen multiple teases in regards to the SmackDown women's division, specifically certain wrestlers with the Pluto logo in the background, with some Nightbird influence. So potentially this opens up the possibility of Alexa Bliss going over to SmackDown, or some of the Wyatt Sicks members going over to SmackDown. It brings up the question, doesn't it? Are the Wyatt Sicks exclusive to Raw? Something's a little bit fishy with Adam Pearce, or should we say Postman Pearce. Something's going on. Why was Bo Dallas in his office that time? There's some form of dodgy deal going on here. And maybe, just maybe, that's why we saw the blue and red lighting when the Wyatt Sicks attacked in that massacre, similar to the blue and red lighting that we saw in the previous Bray Wyatt storyline. We assume at the time that was signifying good and evil, but maybe this time it represents Raw and SmackDown, that the Wyatt Sicks can cross brands. They're not exclusive to either brand. And that would make sense for an angle with Alexa Bliss going over to SmackDown. Potentially Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross kissing and making up. We get a reunion between the two of them in the tag team division, and they go after the tag team titles. Again, connections and link backs to Bianca Belair in this storyline. It makes sense for Alexa Bliss to go after the tag team titles alongside Nikki, aka Abby the Witch. Alexa Bliss was pinned at Elimination Chamber 2022 by Bianca Belair. She was defeated at the Royal Rumble via Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair beat Alexa Bliss in 2 major spots in WWE. Maybe Alexa Bliss isn't finished with Bianca, and a way to essentially get revenge on Bianca is for Alexa Bliss and Nikki to team up once more and take away the tag team gold. I just don't think it's a coincidence that we're getting these symbols popping up in women's segments, women that were previous tag team women's champions. For instance, Dakota Kai. And it makes sense when we look at the whole narrative of the Wyatt Sicks and their reasons for going after people. Dakota Kai turned her back on Bayley, and in the past she's been known to be quite a turncoat. Let's also not forget about Dakota Kai's horrific attack on Tegan Nox. Dakota isn't exactly loyal. There's an incentive for Alexa to go after her, Nikki to go after her, the Wyatt Sicks to target Dakota Kai. It kind of makes sense. Now, if the Wyatt Sicks aren't exclusive to Raw and they can cross brands between SmackDown and Raw, it makes a lot of sense. You could have this Braun Strowman angle on Raw and the Alexa angle on SmackDown, and then when the time is right, you cross those storylines and you blend them into one. We know that Alexa Bliss and Braun Strowman have got history. Now, does that mean I think that Braun Strowman is going to be part of the Wyatt Sicks? No, I think Alexa Bliss has been part of this all along. I don't think Braun will be part of it, but I certainly feel that he's an ally to the Wyatt Sicks, and they're there to support a brother in need. And Alexa and Braun have history. Of course, Alexa and Nikki have history. There's connections here that go really, really deep, and I like that because there's so many layers to this. But in summary, I'd love to just see a split personality gimmick for Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss portraying Lily with some tributes to the Fiend in there in her dark gimmick, this dark persona, and then sprinkles of the goddess slash the face of evil version of Alexa Bliss. And you've got these two versions similar to what we see with Bo Dallas and Uncle Howdy. But I do think we're going to get some answers in regards to Alexa Bliss and her connections to the Wyatt Sicks very soon. What do you think? Get down in the comments section, share your thoughts and opinions, your wildest theories. Do you want to see Alexa part of this? How would you return Alexa Bliss if you don't want to see her as part of the Wyatt Sicks? Everybody's got an opinion, right? Thank you so much for watching the video. As always, it'd be very much appreciated if you could like the video, share the video, and even better, subscribe if you're new. And we'll catch you in the next one.